What is up, YouTube? Crate here, and I canceled my Sony A7s III pre-order. So I quickly called up like all my local camera stores. I put my name on their lists, and then I think the last one I called, the only other person that had their name down was actually the store employee. I was like hoping that, he might let a customer get it first. So I got the call around 2 p.m. I quick hopped in the shower, got out, and drove as fast. I didn't drive as fast as I could, but I drove within the speed limits to the camera store. And here is my new baby. Since I canceled my pre-order, I wasn't actually expecting to get it this soon. I figured, because I put my name down on the local camera stores pretty late, like maybe a week ago, I wasn't gonna get the camera, but as they told me, they only got one in, so I got the first one. As you can see behind me, this is my old camera, or the camera I was using, the Canon EOS R. I used that for, it's been almost 2 years that I had that camera. I loved it. I didn't really have a problem with it, and you can definitely make great content with it. I shot plenty of music videos, never really had a problem. I just think I can do more now that I have experience with a newer and higher end camera. It's a really expensive camera, so I'm actually getting rid of this. I already sold the lens that I had, and then I have a friend coming up to pick that body up tomorrow. But let's get into this. Oh, I don't know if I should have shaken that. Again, like I said, I wasn't expecting to get this camera today, so I kind of had to quick put in an order for a lens, and it won't be here for like another 3 days, but it's an unboxing. Let's open this baby up. It's just a light. Put that back over here. Alright, well, obviously, save some trees, guys. Everyone has the internet. Who buys a $3,500 camera and doesn't have internet? You can download these. Save some trees. And I get a $1,000 Visa prepaid gift card. Just kidding, I just get a chance to win. So, since they didn't make a lot of these cameras, I probably have a pretty high chance if I enter now, right? Okay. Alright, next up in here, we've got the clip thing. The port door clip holder thing. So this is just hold your clips in place. Hold your cables in place, so you don't kind of bend anything or break any of your ports. So this cable is a USB-C to USB 3.0 adapter. This will let you connect it to your computer, get your files off there that way, or you can connect it to a portable battery and charge it. All right, going to the next section, and the first thing that you see, God, it sucks having one camera, but you can open it up, and the first thing you see is this camera strap. I'm not sure if I'm going to use this. I do have a Peak Design one. I never really use camera straps. This one feels like nice leather on the outside, but still kind of feels cheap and thin. All right, going to the right side here, we have something that the Sony A7 III never came with, and I'm glad that they put it in this very expensive camera, and that's the battery charger. I was actually very surprised by how good these batteries are. Why am I still holding this box? I was very surprised by how good these batteries are because they don't have too high of a milliamp count, but I guess just the efficiency of Sony's cameras and that their bit rates aren't incredulously high actually makes them pretty reasonable. And tucked deep in is the battery. I bought one extra. I think 2 should last me pretty much for whatever I'm doing. Fun fact, if you didn't know, the reason that batteries come with only like 20% battery or like a low amount of battery when you get a device is that's required by law, so there's no like chance of explosion or something. Interesting, huh? This is the moment I've been waiting for. It sucks that I don't have a lens, so I can't really play with it, but I'm so excited to have this, and I don't have to wait anymore, and I can really start pumping out content and not be down too long without like a camera. In here, we have liquid gold. Well, I guess it'd be solid, and it's not gold. All right, so my initial impressions from literally holding it in my hand for 5 seconds are that it's actually surprisingly light. It's probably because it doesn't have a battery in it, but it feels kind of hollow, which is interesting. Definitely a lot thicker than what I remember the older Sony cameras being. This is actually surprisingly good. This camera actually seems bigger and thicker than what I'm used to holding. Pause. Man, I set myself up. And then the next thing I notice is this flippy screen. I've already put a fingerprint on it by accident, so that kind of sucks, but fully articulate. articulating screen. One thing I do want to notice that I know a lot of reviewers had in their videos when they had the pre-production model, and I think on the pictures online, it had a Sony brand on the screen, and I thought that was hideous. I'm so glad they took that off. There's no Sony branding on the screen. That's awesome that they fixed that from pre-production to production. On the sides here, we have their ports. I never had my A7 III mic port go bad, but I knew a lot of creators that did. So we'll see with this one if people start getting the same complaints or they fix that problem. These port doors are actually rubber-ish, so they feel a lot better than I thought that there was going to be a hard plastic. So that's nice, and they just flip out. We've got microphone, headphone, and I think the USB-C and micro USB. I don't know what the micro USB port is for, and I'll probably never use it. And what everyone loves about this camera is this full HDMI port. On my A7 III, I actually had the mini HDMI cable break inside of there, and I had to like pluck it out with tweezers. That was scary and very annoying. I don't like that it folds down. The other doors fold out. I think this is just kind of weird holding out there. I mean, I guess it's there because the port is so close to the edge of the camera, but I would like to see them move it a little bit more in, and that way the door could fold out. Maybe we'll see that in the A7s IV in 5 years. And I'm just going to point out a couple of things that I'm more excited about with the Sony camera than the Canon R system, or at least this camera specifically. And I'm not ragging on this camera. It's just things that I'm gaining by spending, almost twice as much for the camera. One being the mode dial is right here. I don't have to go through menu systems on the Canon. And while it wasn't too terribly hard to do, I do like just this easy click and move system. I actually do like this EV exposure dial. I think that's very helpful depending on your scenario and the lighting that you have to be able to move that and still just kind of trust your EV meter. Dual card slots. To be honest, I never cared that this camera had just one. I'm perfectly okay with one. What I do like about two though is you can sort and have them record to two different media cards. Let me break it down. If I have two cards in here, I can have the video go to one card and the photos go to the other. That's actually an important feature to me that the Sony A7 III had, albeit not functioning very well. But I like being able to sort it out, so if I'm taking videos and I have to stop and take some pictures, I know where those files are and I can do them separately. I've never been a huge proponent for redundant video because I've never lost footage. I buy, and not to rag it on anyone, but I buy decent memory cards that don't fail. Now I do have the new memory card, the 160 gigabyte version on pre-order, but I pre-ordered that like maybe a week or two ago, so it's not shipping I think till like November. So I'm gonna run with my V90 cards right now, and I think that should hold me over just fine. And the last two things are really about what this camera does that this camera just doesn't. Number one is gonna be 4K, any kind of 120 frames per second video. Slow motion is kind of a very minimal thing of what I do in the videos that I make, and I'd like to change that. I'd like to implement that more often. I can't do 120 on that camera unless it's in 720p, and even then it doesn't record sound. So that's what I love about the Sonys is that they record sound. While that might not be important to a lot of people, it is important for what I do when I do music videos in order for me to sync up those files to all the other performance tracks that I have. Sound is key. So being able to get that 120 at 4K is amazing, and then even at 1080 I get 240. I mean, that's crazy slow. I don't actually know if that one has sound. I'll have to look into that. And probably the most important reason why I went with this camera over, say, something like the Fuji X-T4 or the R5 or anything else really, is that it records 10-bit 422 internally in an H.264 encoding format. Current computers just aren't really built to decode H.265 files. Now maybe the 3000 series from NVIDIA can, and maybe AMD's next version will be able to, but for what I have currently, it just doesn't work. I've had friends send over H.265 files from the R5 and Fuji. It doesn't go very well. Also, just drone footage from my Mavic 2 Pro, that slows my computer down, and that's like a pretty bad 100 megabits per second H.265 file format. So you can imagine the R5 probably would just blow up my computer, and then I couldn't edit anything. I prioritize a lot of what I do based on time. Now I know I could transcode those H.265 files, but I'm a very big proponent of when I buy something, I want it to just work without creating extra steps for myself. And a bonus thing that I do want to mention about this camera, oh, I forgot it. Oh yeah, bonus thing, the whole reason I tried to plug it in, is that the new menu system. So with these cameras, you got the new Sony menu system. I'm really excited to try out and see what the new screen is touchscreen, like 100%, not just like, oh, let me touch for one option. Now this is full touchscreen, full, tap, tap, tap in. And bonus number 2 is going to be the updated color science in this camera. From what I've heard and seen, this has a very hugely upgraded color science built in, and it should be a lot more neutral, natural. And I actually kind of like that. So, but I'm super excited for this. I think this is going to help me, kind of propel myself to that next level creatively. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.